Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. What we got here today is the chainsaw mill. I finally got the lathe fully set up and the electronic controller and everything built and the power feed built. So now I'm ready to make the chainsaw mill. So kind of the goal here is we have a 60-inch chainsaw bar. I need a way to drive that, and I can't really afford buying a chainsaw big enough to run this bar. So what I'm doing instead is using a 4-stroke motor that I have. So I'll take you over here. So this is a 4-stroke 25 horse V-twin motor that I pulled off of that over there, and I'm going to be mounting that up to an angle iron frame. So we're going to have an angle iron frame, the motor will be mounted to that, and then there's going to be pulleys to run over with a tensioner that run to this jack shaft here, and then this jack shaft will run vertically. So the motor's vertical shaft runs over with pulleys to this shaft here, and then I have flange bearings that are going to be mounted top and bottom of this shaft, and then this sprocket here that I got set up, this sprocket will drive the actual chain around the chainsaw bar, and then these bushings that I'm making are going to hold these 3/4 inch polished shafts. It'll hold these, and then these shafts will be able to move up and down, and then the end of this shaft will be mounted to the bar. These are vertical, so that way I can adjust the bar up and down, and then I'll have shaft collars that lock these in at different heights, so I can adjust the depth of cut of the chainsaw bar. So if you're doing like 2-inch slabs, or say you need like, you know, a mantle or something, and you're doing a 4-inch slab or an 8-inch slab, you know, something thicker, I want to be able to adjust the bar up and down. So yeah, that'll give you my height adjustment, and then I still have to figure out a way to tension the chain, which I might talk about that here in a second. But yeah, that's the kind of the next hurdle. But yeah, that's just a little bit of kind of an intro of the project. Like I said, I'm going to do pieces of this in videos because it's so much content. But this was the first step in the road here, getting this mounted up and the sprocket on, and now I'm going to focus kind of from the ground up, work on getting those collars machined and getting those ready to put bushings in, and then I have designed the mounts for the bar that allow it to be tensioned, and then once that's all figured out, then I'll start building the frame, because it's all pretty simple to build the frame and mount the motor. So once I get this is figured out, and then I got to get the tensioning figured out, bushings made for that, press the bushings in, and then I'll move up, weld up the frame, and then I'll start mounting everything to the frame. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll get the motor mounted, and then get the wiring done in the fuel tank and an oil cooling system for the chain itself. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. It should be a cool project. I haven't really seen a lot of people that have done this. I've seen guys make chainsaw mills out of 4-stroke motors, but nothing like I'm doing where it's portable. So my goal is, like, you know, right around 200 pounds or less. That way 2 guys can pick this thing up and set it on the tree and then run it through. And I have a little bit of milling experience. We have a Norwood HD36, so I've run that mill a lot. It does really good, but it only cuts 28 inches mouth to mouth. And I have a tree that's like a 5-foot diameter log and some other big stuff like that I haven't been able to mill. So I'm hoping to be able to mill these out and then get some really cool stuff. And then there'll be some cool woodworking projects too. So yeah, hope you guys, hope you're interested. I'm going to try and work on this as much as I can. This whole COVID crisis that's going on, it's got me back from college. So I got a lot of time in the shop. Just have online classes. So I'm finishing up my last semester online, I guess. But yeah, I'll be around a lot more, so hopefully I can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. It won't take me as long as normal with other projects, but yeah, I'm hoping to get it going and get some cool stuff out there, and maybe this will inspire some other people to try it, or maybe it'll be a total failure. I don't know. We'll see. So stay tuned, and hope you enjoy it. Alright guys, so I got the first part made here for the chainsaw mill. So what I did, I'll take these collars off here. So these are just shaft collars that I bought, and so this is a chainsaw sprocket that I bought, and then the idea of that was too small to fit on this 1-inch shaft. It's going to be the jack shaft on the chainsaw. So I put this in the lathe. This is hardened steel, so it's kind of interesting to turn that. It was my first time turning something that hard, but I used some carbide and I was able to turn that out. Came up with a pretty decent finish, and then I had to make a keyway in it, and I don't have a milling machine or any way to do that. So if I ever had to imagine like breaking out of prison with a shiv, that was pretty much how it felt, trying to whittle through that hardened steel. And I started off with files, but it was trashing the files, and then I was trying to speed up the process, so I put a file in Sawzall, and even with this extra speed, it still was taking forever. So then eventually I went and got a Dremel with some grinding stones, some small stones, and I just slowly just whittled away at that, and I kept checking the fit to be careful not to oversize it. And if you look, you can see how I had to go a little deeper just because of the roundness of the stone. In order to make that corner, I had to go deeper, but I don't think it'll affect it too much, and I hope that there's enough contacting there that this will still drive okay. We'll see, I guess. It might run into issues. And then I took some key stock, just cut it down real small, and then cleaned that up a little bit, took all the burrs off, and then and it fits tight, like it wedges itself on here. So it fits nice and tight. And then I put these shaft collars. I don't know if these not being balanced will be a problem at higher speeds with the chainsaw, but this is going to be spinning at like 3,600 RPM, but I don't know if that'll be an issue or not yet. Again, this is all kind of, there's not really a reference for any of this, so I'm just kind of doing it. But so yeah, that's locked in there nice and tight. And then I think the shaft collars will help locate that thing and keep it, because this jack shaft's going to be vertical on the chainsaw mill, and then when we adjust the height of the chainsaw bar, either the whole shaft has to move or this has to move. So the way that I'm building it like this, this allows us to have movement. So I can move the chainsaw up, and then I can move this up with it, or I'll move this shaft up and down. I don't know, I haven't really decided yet, but those shaft collars locate that, keep it nice and tight, and it doesn't allow that to wander when it's running. So I don't know, that was kind of what I came up with how to secure it to a 1-inch shaft, because I could have tried welding it, but again, I don't know exactly what this is, and like trying to weld or braze that on, I'm not sure how that would go. And I didn't have a spline coupling that fit in there, which that would have been nice, because then I could have turned that down to fit this. So I just kind of went with that. It feels pretty good. It's nice and tight. I hope that keyway that has enough oomph to hold that saw chain, you know, but we'll see. So it might bust that keychain or key out of the keyway, or it might destroy this thing. I don't know, but I'm gonna roll with it, see how that goes. But yeah, this is kind of phase 1 of the chainsaw mill. All right, guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm working on making these bushings for the chainsaw mill. This polished shaft goes inside of them, and what I've got is some oil impregnated bronze bushings. The OD is 1 inch of these, and double check, yeah, 1 inch OD, and then the length of this is 1 inch from here to here, and then there's a little lip that's like 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more. So all I had was some stainless stock, so I'm actually machining these out of stainless. Ideally they would not be, but it's what I have. So I'm machining it anyways. It's machining all right, and these will be stainless, which is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, so what I got to do is
I cut another piece of the stock off. This is 1.5" stock, so I'm going to bore this out to 1 inch and then press these in, and then I'm going to make them flush with the face, so I have to cut this little lip too and then chamfer that, and then that way these will press in. And I'm shooting for like 1 or 2 thousandths undersized in here, that way it's a nice tight press fit. And that was what I did on these two guys, and they pressed in real nice. So, and you can see this thing works real good, and there's really no noticeable play at all. So I think these will work really good at locating that chainsaw bar. And again, the shaft will be mounted to the bar, and then up top this bushing will be mounted to the frame itself, and that'll allow the chainsaw bar to come up and down to adjust the depth of cut. At least that's the plan anyway. So yeah, this is the next step in the mill. So I'm gonna get rolling on this, and I'll shoot some footage of machining the bushing so you can see the process. It's pretty cool, and I got the lathe running great. So yeah, super excited. Let's get started.
So I measured this, you know, roughly, and then made a little punch mark there, and then that gives me a little reference point that I can work off of for the rest of it. So it's not hugely important, like I said, for the length, as long as I have enough room for a little area for grease to collect, because I'm going to put a grease zerk in these. I just had a piece of this chucked up, so we're only out like 12 thousandths at the moment. So I'm going over here to our high spot, give us a tightening. We're also high here. So now we're about out like 8 thou. And a low spot down here. I'm going to loosen this gap just a little bit. So you probably can't see that on the dial, but we're within 35 and 36 thou. So barely any run out at all. So now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to face this guy off to our length here, and I got that little witness mark. And then after I do that, then I'll center drill it, and then drill this thing out closer to that 1 inch mark, and then we'll finish the rest off with boring. So that's the plan. That'll give our first drill bit something to start on so it doesn't wander. So now we're going to pop this out, get our drill in here. drilling this out at 1/2 inch now. This is a nice new sharp bit, so you can see how it's cutting real nice. Alright, so I got that drilled out to 3/4 of an inch. What I'm going to do now is take my depth or inside mic, and I'm going to measure that bore. So I'm sticking this in here. Alright, grab a micrometer. So it should be 3/4 of an inch. 750. So we're at 7.757 there. So yeah, right around 3/4 of an inch. 0.757. We need to go to 1.00. So we have 243 left. Yeah. 90. Yep. So 243 thousandths to go. So I'm going to switch over to the boring bar now. This part's already been faced off and chamfered on the edge, so it's good to go there. So I'm switching over to this 1/2 inch boring bar here. That's what we'll complete these operations with. So I'm going to throw this in the tool post now, and then we got to start working our way down on boring. And one mistake I made doing one of these bushings, I actually overbored this one, and it was because I was reading the micrometer and taking passes based on the micrometer, but I was forgetting to double, because whatever you do on the micrometer, it's double inside. It was a silly mistake, but made me mess up that bushing. So although it was good to do, because now I don't think I'll forget it, because I was so upset that I messed that up. So I'll lean you guys back down here as I get this micrometer set up. Or not micrometer, but this, sorry, I meant dial indicator, not micrometer. Okay, so I'm coming over here. So, actually, you know what, before I do that, bring this guy over. And I was already boring with this, so it should be set to center and ready to go. So I'm going to come up near where I am going to be boring. And I'm going to set this at the edge, because that'll be my maximum, amount that I come out. And then, I don't know if you guys can see that.
So, power this on here. That is our spindle speed, 546. And then over here is our power feed. So that's the sensor that measures that. So we initiate the power feed. Let me straighten up this guy a little bit. Okay. So now that's telling us the RPM of the lead screw. And then again, we're just going to be engaging the lead screw, and that'll be how we complete our turning operation. So yeah, that's kind of what we got going on. And I'm going to show you how I get this thing squared up, and then we can get ready to go.
Alright, so first things first is you need to square this face with the dial indicator. That way we can tell where exactly we are. So I just usually do this by going back and forth. Spin this around so it's a little easier to read. Again, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So come over here. Oop, ran into the face. So in the distance I am traveling, I don't know if you can see the indicator, but that needle is not really moving, maybe half a thou, so I think I'm good to go. What I got to remember is whatever depth I go on the dial indicator, that is double the depth on the bore, because I let that slip my mind and it got me last time. So like I said, we're at 0.757 on the ID now. We need to be at 1, so we are going up 243 thou. So, and just to double check here, we got this in here, this bushing. Maybe 0.02 over, so shooting for like 0.98 or 1.00, and then that should push in there, or press in there nice. So, all right, now that we're squared up, we're locked down. Tool post is sitting flush. Everything's tight. We can get to boring this guy out. So I'm going to get the power feed adjusted to the right RPM, and then we'll start boring. Advance in 10,000ths. Alright, so we're getting close to size here. Check the depth one more again. Alright, so we are getting close, so I'm going to check the size one real quick here. Should be within like about 20 thou, I believe. $950, 60, 73. Yep, 973. think we're ready for a press fit there. So now what I'm going to do is just give this a little bit of a chamfer on the edge here. That little bit of a chamfer should help that thing go in there real nice. Alright, time to flip it around. I'm going to repeat all that on the other side, and then we'll press the bushings in. So we've bored this out. I machined that little lip there, so this will sit flush once it's pressed in. And now I'm going to get these in the arbor press and press them down. See if it, and it should be about like 2/1000ths of an inch undersize, so it should be a nice press fit. There we go. That is the finished bushing there. See if a shaft fits down in there. Alright, moment of truth here. The shaft fits in there nice. and there is literally zero play in that. Slides nice, and that's no lubricant yet, so once that thing's lubed up, that'll slide really nice. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how that came out. If you look down inside, I don't know if you can really see, but there's a little groove between the two bushings, so I'm going to drill those and put some grease zerks in, and then that'll be a little valley that grease will collect to keep these lubricated. Even though these aren't like a high, again, these are only going to be used to lift the bar up and down, so it's not a high wear area, but it would still be nice to have a little bit of grease in there, I think. So yeah, that's 2 down. I got to decide if I'm going to mount the side of the bar with just one of these or 2 of these. I still haven't really decided yet, but yeah, for now it's looking good. If I decide to do 2 of these bars on each side, then I'll have to machine 2 more of these, but if not, we'll be ready to go on the next phase of the project. So do one more look at that. Really nice fit up. Again, there's virtually no play whatsoever. And that is how you machine a brass bushing. So, hope you guys enjoy, and on to the next phase of the chainsaw mill.